Mkhize Dlamini was a giant, a titan of industry in the small nation of Eswatini. He built his empire on sweat and smarts, turning sugarcane fields into gold mines. His name echoed with respect. It also sparked envy. Everyone knew his wealth. Many craved it. Mkhize had a loving family, or so he thought. He had a wife, 2 sons, and a daughter. He spoiled them with the finest things. But Mkhize carried a fear. Did they love him? Or did they love his money? He decided to find out. It would be a test, a performance worthy of a king. Mkhize would pretend to be deathly ill. He would gauge their reactions. Their true colors would shine through. He would know who to trust with his fortune. The news spread like wildfire, igniting whispers and urgent conversations in every corner of the community. People spoke in hushed tones, their faces etched with concern and curiosity. Mkhize Dlamini was on his deathbed. Doctors whispered grim pronouncements, their faces grave and serious. Family members gathered, their expressions a mix of hope and despair. Tension hung thick in the air, almost palpable. The room was filled with an uneasy silence, broken only by the occasional murmur of a worried family member.
Oh, Mkhize, please don't leave us. Please, please stay strong. We need you here with us. Don't give up, fight through this.
His wife, Nomsa, seemed distraught. Her tears flowed freely, her sobs echoing in the quiet room. She clung to his hand as if her touch alone could keep him tethered to life. She held his hand, whispering prayers, or were they curses? Her words were a mix of desperate pleas and quiet anger, a reflection of her inner turmoil.
I need those contracts finalized by the end of the day. No delays, understand? This is crucial.
His eldest son, Mandla, arrived in a flurry of importance. He moved with purpose, his presence commanding attention. He barked orders into his phone, securing deals and making arrangements. His mind seemed to be elsewhere, preoccupied with matters of business. Was he worried about his father, or was he worried about his inheritance? The lines between duty and self-interest blurred in his mind.
Dad, remember that story you used to tell us? The one about the lion and the mouse? It always made us laugh.
The youngest, Thabo, stayed by their father's side. He read to him, sang him songs and told him stories. His voice was a soothing balm in the tense atmosphere. Only Lindiwe, Mkhize's daughter, seemed genuinely concerned. Her eyes never left her father's face, searching for any sign of improvement.
Father, I love you. Please, please get better. I need you. We all need you. Don't leave us.
She barely left his side, her presence a constant source of comfort and support. She bathed his forehead and spoke softly of her love for him. Mkhize observed them all, his heart aching with a mix of love and sorrow. He knew his time was near, but he took solace in the presence of his family. Days turned into weeks. Mkhize's condition remained dire, or so they thought. The family clung to hope, but uncertainty loomed over them like a dark cloud. The family started to fracture. Tensions rose and old wounds resurfaced. The once united family began to splinter, each member retreating into their own world of fear and suspicion.
This is ridiculous. We can't keep living like this, pretending everything will be okay. We can't just sit here and wait. Time is slipping through our fingers, and with it, our chances of saving him. We need to take action, now. We must find a way to help him, to bring him back to us.
Mandla grew impatient. His frustration was palpable, a storm brewing within him. He saw his inheritance slipping away, and with it, his dreams of a prosperous future. He saw his inheritance slipping away. The wealth he had counted on was now a distant mirage, fading with each passing day. His lavish lifestyle was at stake. He argued with Nomsa. Accusations flew. Greed poisoned the air. The once loving couple now stood on opposite sides of a battlefield, their words sharp as daggers.
How dare you speak to me like that, Mandla? You think only of yourself, never of the family. I'm doing everything I can. Can't you see the pressure I'm under? This isn't just about me, it's about all of us.
Thabo tried to keep the peace. He stepped in, hoping to calm the storm, but his efforts were in vain. The rift was too deep, the wounds too fresh.
Please, we need to stay calm. Father wouldn't want this. He would want us to stand together, not tear each other apart.
But he was overshadowed. His voice, a whisper in the chaos, was drowned out by the louder, more insistent cries of greed and desperation. His voice drowned out by the vultures circling his father's wealth. Lindiwe, exhausted, remained steadfast. She was the rock in the storm, unwavering in her devotion.
Father, I'm here. I'll always be here. No matter what happens, I won't leave your side.
She tended to her father with unwavering devotion. She saw his pain. She felt his loneliness. Every moment spent by his side was a testament to her love and loyalty. The charade was taking its toll on Mkhize. The weight of his family's discord bore heavily on him, draining his strength. He underestimated the depths of their greed. This was his family. The people he had loved and trusted were now strangers, driven by their own selfish desires, his own flesh and blood. The betrayal cut deep, leaving scars that would never fully heal. One day, Mkhize overheard a conversation that would change everything. It chilled him to the bone, sending shivers down his spine as he realized the gravity of what he had just heard.
We need to act fast. There's no time to waste. If we don't, we'll lose everything we've worked so hard for. Our entire future is at stake.
I know. But we need a solid plan. We need to get the lawyers involved immediately. They can help us navigate this mess. Contest his wishes if we have to. We can't let him have the upper hand.
Mandla and Namsa were plotting, their voices low and conspiratorial. They spoke of lawyers and wills, of strategies to undermine Mkhize's plans. They whispered about contesting his wishes, about finding loopholes and exploiting them. They planned to seize control of his companies, to take over everything he had built. Their greed knew no bounds, and their ambition was insatiable. His own wife, his partner, was betraying him. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. This was the woman he built his empire with, the one who stood by his side through thick and thin, the woman who bore his children, who shared his dreams and aspirations, the woman who swore to love him in sickness and in health, to be his partner for life. Where was the love now? Where was the loyalty? He felt utterly abandoned. Mkhize felt a deep sense of betrayal, a wound that cut deeper than any physical pain. His heart, already heavy with illness, grew cold with the weight of their deception. He had to act, and he had to act now. Meanwhile, Thabo had his own suspicions. He observed his brother and mother. Their greed sickened him. They disgusted him. Thabo knew they didn't deserve their father's fortune. He loved his father. That love was pure, untouched by the taint of greed.
You disgust me. You don't care about father. All you care about is his money.
One day while Mandla was on the phone boasting about his inheritance, Thabo confronted him.
You disgust me. You don't care about father. All you care about is his money.
Mandla laughed, a cruel, heartless sound.
You're delusional. This is a dog-eat-dog world. I'm just playing the game.
Thabo walked away, shaking his head. He knew he had to tell his father. With a trembling hand, Mkhize removed the oxygen mask. He looked at Lindewe, his eyes filled with a mixture of shame and relief.
I haven't been sick, Lindewe. It was all a test.
Lindewe gasped. Her eyes widened in shock. She couldn't believe her ears.
Father.
Before she could speak, Thabo burst into the room.
Father, I know, I heard everything. Mandla and Mother, they're...
He couldn't finish the sentence. Anger choked his words.
I know, my son, I know.
He looked at his two children, the only two who had passed his test.
I'm sorry you had to see this.
His voice was laced with regret. The news of Mkhize's deception spread through the house like a shockwave. Namsa and Mandla were summoned. They entered the room, their faces a mixture of confusion and feigned concern. They hadn't expected this. Their charade was about to be exposed.
So, the old man's finally kicked the bucket?
A slap, sharp and sudden, silence descended upon the room. Namsa gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Thabo and Lindewe watched in stunned silence. Mkhize stood, his hand trembling from the force of the slap. His face was a mask of rage and disappointment.
You dare, after all I've done for you, after all I've given you? Get out!
Mkhize roared. His voice shook the room. His anger was a force of nature. It dwarfed his previous illness. Namsa and Mandla shrank back. They had never seen him like this. They had underestimated his love. They had mistaken his kindness for weakness.
But your money?
Get out. You are no longer welcome in this house. You are no longer my family.
Namsa began to weep, crocodile tears rolling down her face. It was a pathetic attempt to garner sympathy, but it was too late. The damage was done. In the aftermath of the confrontation, Mkhize gathered his remaining children, Lindewe and Thabo. They sat with him, their faces etched with concern.
My children, I have seen the true face of wealth. It can corrupt even the purest heart.
He looked at them, his eyes filled with sadness.
I built my empire on hard work and integrity. I won't let greed destroy it.
He paused, taking a deep breath.
I've decided to leave my entire fortune to.
The air crackled with anticipation. Lindewe and Thabo exchanged nervous glances. They knew what was coming. They also knew they didn't need wealth to validate their love.
To charity.
Lindiwe and Thabo were stunned. They stared at their father, their eyes wide with disbelief.
Father? But why?
Mkhize smiled, a genuine smile, not the strained smiles of business deals. This smile was filled with love and pride.
Because, my dear Lindiwe, you and Thabo have something far more valuable than money.
He pulled them into a warm embrace.
You have love, and that is a treasure that no amount of money can buy.
And so, Mkhize Dlamini, the Lion of Eswatini, taught his family the true meaning of wealth. It wasn't about the size of your bank account. It was about the size of your heart.